So welcome responsible sports fans to the first ever Liberty Mutual Insurance Responsible Sports Hangout. My name is Matt Vincent, and today we have the very special guest with us today, former US National and FIFA referee Tom Bobadilla. Tom is currently the National Referee Program Administrator for the American Youth Soccer Organization and is joining us live from AYSO headquarters in Torrance, California. Thanks for joining us, Tom.
Thank you. By the way, please convey our thanks to Liberty Mutual for hosting this setup. We've been looking to use more technology to share with our AYSO volunteers. Also, a very special thanks to all of our volunteers. They do take a lot of their personal time to do many wonderful things for AYSO, and here they are willing to be tortured by me. So again, thank you very much for joining us.
And we're also joined by a few of our very special winners of the Hangout with Tom Bobadilla promotion. We'd love to hear who you are, which AYSO region you're coming from, as well as how many years you've been refereeing. And we'll start with Linda.
Hi, I'm Linda Schaup. I'm from Region 452 in Altoona, Pennsylvania, and I have been a referee for 14 years.
Nice, Linda. Matt, you're up next.
Matthew Evans. I'm from Region 220 in Tarrytown, New York, outside Westchester County.
And how many years have you been refereeing?
Yeah, about 5 years refereeing about.
Thanks, Matt. Mike, you're up next.
Hi, my name is Mike Burkhart. I'm from Region 206 in Tucson, Arizona, and I've been refereeing 15 years.
Thank you. Stefan?
My name is Stefan Rubik, and I ref in Region 418 Chicago, Illinois, and I've been refing for about 3.5 years.
Thanks, Stefan. And Terry?
Hi, I'm Terry Barish. I am from Region 190, Sterling Heights, Michigan, and I've been refereeing for about 5 years now.
Thanks, Terry. And we'll have Mark give us a wave on the camera here. Mark is from AYSO Region 12, and he's been refereeing for about 8 years. And so we'll start with you, Linda, if you have your first question for Tom.
Yes. When we are trying to train our young referees to be good assistant referees, since you have a lot of experience as an assistant referee, what would be the main thing to help them stay with the offside line and run the line and be where they should be?
You know what? That's an excellent question. Let me bring it to a higher level. When a brand new official gets started in the world of officiating, being an assistant referee is one of the best places to start. Now, from the perspective of how to get them ready and how to get them properly trained, the #1 requirement is to make them feel comfortable, make them feel at ease, make them feel protected by the referee. So what I mean by this is, in the beginning, the referee should connect with both assistant referees, especially when they're brand new, and just make them feel comfortable and appreciate it that they're there. For example, of the many times that I had to work with the brand new AR, my first indication after we chatted for a good 5-10 minutes and just connected, where you discuss nothing about soccer, just connect as a couple of good friends, then I would say something like, okay, thank you for being here. Tell you what, in the beginning, just help me with the ball out of play. When the ball leaves the field of play, just bring your hand straight up. If you feel that I should give a throw-in to the blue team, meaning going towards your right, bring it out with your right hand. If you feel that I should give a throw-in to the red team, which is going to your left, bring it out with your left hand, and then we'll make eye contact and we'll go with that. If this goes well and you feel comfortable, then we'll take on the next challenge on the second half. But the key is to make them feel comfortable and happy to be there. The worst thing you can do, and there's a lot of them, is to say to a brand new assistant referee, okay, stay out of the box, let me do the foul recognition, and pretty much let me manage the game. Because that's a big turnoff. It's all about making them feel comfortable and connecting with them more as teammates than referees. Does that help, Linda?
Yes, thank you.
Great. And Matt, do you have a question?
Yeah, I do. I was actually going to kind of piggyback on Linda's question about youth and retainment, but I think kind of Tom is kind of one of the same, the retainment and keeping them involved. So, how about one of your best professional referee moments, if you could share that with us?
Professional referee moments. Because I have a belief that a referee should always be professional, whether the teams are being paid or not, I do have a couple. Back in the 80s, I had been refereeing for at least 10 years or so, and I had a game between two of our local adult league all-star teams. And when I show up to the field, one of the assistant referees didn't make it. And the field was surrounded by about 500 people, 250 rooting for one team, the other 250 rooting for the other team. When I tried to find another referee to help me out, I couldn't find a single neutral referee to help me out. So we went to both teams, and because we didn't want to use the two-man system, because that's a no-no, we finally decided that I had to referee the game all by myself. Modesty apart, that's one of the best games I've ever done, in the sense that it was under control and only one yellow card was needed, which was given within the first 30 seconds. So that's one. Another special moment was towards the end of my international career, September 11th. Brought us a big challenge in our lives. And about a month after that, we got a FIFA assignment for one of the qualifiers to go to the Middle East. So I sent out a note to the assigner and I asked, "Are you serious?" And then they realized that going to the Arab Emirates was a bad idea. So I said, "You know what? Never mind. We'll cancel that assignment." 2 weeks later, we get one to Saudi Arabia, which, by the way, has been our ally. So all political things aside, here's the beauty of the game of soccer. When we got there and all the way through the experience and coming back, they were very friendly, very embracing, and was one of the best experiences we've ever had, all four of us. And the third one, which is really my most special moment, I have two daughters, and my oldest daughter finally once went out to referee with me. We referee a couple of games. And at the end of it, I asked her, I said, "So should we get you started on more games?" And she says, "Dad, today was my first and last day of refereeing." And here's the reason she gave me. She says, "I could not stand the possibility that if I make one bad decision, one team may lose." And then I said to her, "Senya, haven't you seen me referee over the years?" Could be a concern. So those are three very special moments. Thank you for asking that personal question.
Oh, those are great stories, Tom. Mike, you're up next.
Oh, okay, great. I wanted to say to Linda, one of the things that we've done down here in 206 is we have parents who volunteer just to be a support system to the youth referees as they start out as ARs, and their only job is to go out and tell them how great they're doing. No matter if they screw it up or not, that's all they do is tell them how great they're doing. We're focused on confidence.
Good idea.
But, that's a great thing. Tom, my question is, I'm looking for your opinion. I think one of the calls that I've always struggled with, maybe just understanding, or being able to explain to somebody when it's the proper time to make the call, is impeding. Maybe you can tell me a little bit in some basic referee language so I can understand just when I can determine whether impeding is actually happening versus just shielding the ball.
Okay, so you've asked one of the questions that even professional referees hate to deal with.
Yeah.
Because it does happen, and we're not very good at catching it. But here's some things to look for. Think about the skill level, the technical skill level, the physical skill level, and the emotional level of the players at the moment you're refereeing. So a couple of examples. Let's say the play is going down the left side. And way on the right side, there's defender red number 5 who has a chance to go over and help his teammate. And you have blue number 10 who decides to get in the way of him getting over to where the play is by running across in front of him, or pulling his shirt, or just giving him a little tap, because the referee, the assistant referee, and most players are focused on where the ball is. Almost everyone will miss that. So the first thing that I will tell you is the referee, not the AR, but it's the referee, as much as you can, try to sense and look at other spots on the field other than where the ball is. Priority should be on where the ball is, where the play is, especially if you have a challenging scenario coming up. But if play is sort of okay and is fair and all that, keep an eye on players that you sense will be doing that sort of thing. So, for example, if we're going, again, same example, if you're going down the left side, but you sense there's a couple of players on your right side that might try some monkey business, take a quick look and ask your ARs to help you with that one. While you're focusing on the play, the AR should be focusing on those players who might be impeding others from participating. And you look for things like, did they take a run in a direction away from the ball and towards the player? In other words, they played the player. Did they take their eyes off the ball to go interfere with another player? Those kind of things. As they get better at it, it becomes very subtle. So even if you don't see it, but you sense it, do a run by and say, number 5, I know what you did. You're lucky that there was an advantage. But, hey, I'm looking at you. Stop it.
Stefan, you're up next.
All right, thank you. I have a quick question about what you talk about with your ARs at your pregame conference, mid-game, and post-game conferences.
Wow. Good stuff. I'm a strong believer of connecting with your peers before you can discuss soccer. So even if you have referee with them for years, make sure you spend a couple of minutes just connecting, making sure that they're ready for the game, that you're actually ready as a good set of friends. So, you know, just social discussion kind of thing. How was that party last night that you went to? And how come you didn't invite me? You know, that sort of thing. And then you move on. Instructions in the pregame should be simple. And even at the highest level of refereeing, where we spend maybe 30 minutes doing that, they're always simple. So here's my typical pregame information for if I was in the referee. Thank you for being here with me. Let's take foul recognition first. If I'm close to play and I'm looking at the play, I get the first shot at it. Now, if I see some contact and I sense it might be something that I'm missing, I will take a look at you. If you have something to say, meaning you sense there was a foul, talk to me with the flag. If the flag goes up and you wiggle it, I will blow the whistle and support you. However, if you don't have anything to say, there's no flag, just keep moving. On foul recognition. In addition, on foul recognition, if I get caught in a counterattack, and it happens a lot, and either you flag a foul or I blow the whistle, I need to know if it's inside the penalty area or outside. So please use the standard signal. So as I'm running and making my way up there, and when I get there 2-3 minutes later, I will just point to the penalty mark as appropriate. That's foul recognition in general. On the offside, I tell them, please, if there are 2 or more players involved and one of them is on, have patience. Wait until you're 100% sure. It takes about a half a second to see the answer to what you want to do with your flag. And when in doubt, let's make eye contact. Third, and just as important, if anything happens that I don't get to see, especially if it involves injury or potential injury, and if we're talking any kind of player, but definitely youth players, immediately get that to my attention. If I don't see the flag, yell my name. Tom, whatever it takes. Let's make sure that everyone is safe and that the proper discipline is applied as needed. Those are the 3 things. And then, of course, I always ask, do you have any questions? Is there something that you need to know? And then you can go on and more. But it's best to keep it simple.
Does that answer for you, Stefan?
Yeah, it's a good answer.
And then on the after game, because you did ask, should be more of a self-evaluation as a team. And I think all of you do this. Typically, you will go, and as you're walking off the field, you'll say something like, did I miss something? Did I mess up? Is there anything that I should have done different? Which, by the way, you should be having that discussion at halftime and even during the match with some basic signals. For example, it is important for the referee to get feedback from the ARs as to how the referee is doing. So I'll say, if I'm doing okay with foul recognition and everything else, give me a thumbs up, everything is good. If I need to get a hold of the game and apply more control, because there's a lot of kicking and pushing and I'm not calling it, make a fist and tell, so that I'll know you want me to get a hold of the game. If I'm overdoing it, I got 20 whistles going on and 10 yellow cards and it's only 3 minutes into the game, flat hand and say, relax, easy. That tells me quickly how I'm doing throughout the game. And by the way, just final point on that, halftime, it is the most unused time by the referee team. Make sure that you spend half of your halftime as you're getting water and stretching or whatever. Check some quick things. What's the score? Who are the players that have potential to be troublemakers in the second half? And what are we going to do about it as a team?
Thanks, Tom. We have a question from Mark. He wrote, in AYSO play, when managing the sidelines as a CR, how do you handle the transition from a warning to a coach or a parent to escalating that to an expulsion while keeping things calm and balanced?
From the perspective of the assistant referee or the referee?
As the CR.
Oh, okay, the referee, yes. So here's the thing. We're talking about dissent. All the referees in this session, because they have so many years of experience, they know this. When do we deal with dissent? Can someone tell me?
At the moment.
At the moment, right away.
Right away.
And the reason is, someone tell me why we deal with dissent right away.
It escalates.
It gets worse if you don't, exactly. So when the first level of dissent happens, it typically is a remark, which is almost sometimes with a little bit of humor, not as serious, which means the individual, coach, parent, player, whoever, they're more rational, more willing to hear what you have to say. So that's a good time to go deal with it because it requires very little effort. On the average, 3 to 7 seconds, you give them a look, you smile, maybe you say, thank you, I got it, and move on. If you let dissent escalate, then you do have to go into those other steps where you go over and you ask, Linda, will you please stop yelling and screaming at the players? All right, thank you, Coach Linda. Then you come back and you say, you know what, Linda, I asked you a couple of times, please, you have to stop now. Thank you, and you quickly walk away. You don't want to get engaged in a dissertation about the loss of the game because that's not the objective. And of course, if it is absolutely necessary for you to come back, you come over, you point to the coach, and you say, thank you very much, you're done for the day. If it's a parent, you go to the coach and you say, Coach, that gentleman over there with the green shirt, I understand his name is Tom Bobadilla, he's got to go now. Thank you very much. But always try to deal with dissent as early as possible. That way you give them a couple of chances. The best thing is, hopefully, and in fact it does happen, most of the time behavior changes. And if it doesn't, for those who decide they need to be sent off before they change their behavior, no one's going to complain because everyone's going to tell him or her, hey, he gave you a couple of chances. What's wrong with you? Does that help a little bit? This is something we can go on forever. If we open up a bottle of root beer, we could really discuss this a long time.
Yeah, Mark wanted to say thanks. And then we'll move on to Terry. Terry, do you have a question for Tom?
Yes, I do. Thanks. Tom, we've got a young referee who has FIFA Ambitions. And so questions are along those lines. How long did it take you to get to that FIFA level? And, could you explain what that path was like, and then what can this young person expect, and what should he do to get on that path himself? He's a national ref right now.
Yeah. The best part is that a referee gets to the point where they want to escalate to the highest possible level. That's when you know you really enjoy refereeing. You really appreciate that opportunity that you get as a referee to really impact people's lives and to be in charge of such a wonderful event such as a soccer game. Now, breaking it down into pieces, I'm going to be very practical. It's about objectives and the goal. The goal is to reach the highest possible level of refereeing, hopefully a FIFA designation. But you have to break it into levels and objectives. And the objectives should match the structure levels in your referee organization. For example, AYSO, which is very much in line with USSF, has the entry-level categories, regional and intermediate referees. Then we have advanced and national referees, which are equivalent to the what we call grade 7 and entry-level state referee at USSF. Once you get to that point, then what we have is a program that was just restructured, where we have two concepts. One is an evaluation process whereby we invite referees with potential to be professional referees or professional assistant referees to be mentored, evaluated, trained to see if they have what it takes at a point in time. So the best way to get involved with that is to get a mentor who can help you get through those processes, open the right doors, teach you some of the things that you must know, and then you have to go out and aspire to do more challenging games every season, every time you can. Once you make it to the professional level, the FIFA members of our representatives for our country are selected from our professional referees and assistant referees, both males and females. We have a committee who looks at their performance on the field and their behavior off the field and their overall contribution to the program, and that's how they get selected. For this young person and anybody else who's in the same boat, work hard, learn a lot, make sure you have a couple of mentors, and ask and let people know what you want and what you need. If anyone specifically wants to connect with me, I can connect them with some good mentors. I can provide some guidance specifically. So please have them connect with me via email, and I will get them started in the right direction.
Great, I will do that. Thank you, Tom.
All right, Linda, we're back to you. You have another question for Tom?
Yes. We have a referee that moved into the area that has everyone convinced that they should be able to referee without blowing the whistle at all or calling a foul. What kind of advice would you give to younger referees that are watching him and thinking they should do the same?
So let me repeat what I think I understood. So you have an adult, experienced referee who uses his personality and his presence to manage the game. He or she does blow the whistle once in a while, but hardly ever. No need for cards, yellow or red, because he uses his presence and his experience. Did I understand the scenario?
Yes.
Okay, so here's what happens. That happened to me. Probably happened to all of you. Early in your career, a young or less experienced referees, you run the most, you try the hardest, you do everything right, you work very hard, and yet everyone complains. And then here comes those type of referees. They hardly ever move, they hardly ever run, they somehow make just a few calls, and everyone is happy. That's all about the experience and the presence. So tell the young referees who are watching this person to learn the mechanics of this referee. For example, how she moves on the field, to always be on the right, perfect spot to see the significant things, you know, the angle, the distance. Tell them to watch this person for their behavior towards the players. There's a lot of respect, There's some communications back and forth, and that's why he doesn't have to pull out a card or blow the whistle, because he just to give them the look. He just needs to be present there, like say during a corner kick, and smile at them, and they know they have to behave. So most of it is the experience and the level of knowledge that this person has acquired gives you a sense of presence that players respect. So break it down for them. Have them focus on one thing at a time, either the respect for the players, the mechanics of the movements on the field, or simply which fouls does this referee chooses to call early in the game to set a wonderful tone for the players to do a whole lot more playing and a whole lot less fouls. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
All right, thanks, Tom. Matt, you're up next. Do you have another question for Tom?
I really don't at the moment. I just kind of want to thank Tom for all his years of hard work and dedication to refereeing, and especially of late with AYSO, and he's been an inspiration to us all, I'm sure. And I actually have to kind of leave. I got to do some family stuff, so I just want to thank you, Responsible Sports and Liberty Mutual for giving me this opportunity.
All right, we appreciate it, Matt.
Real quick, if I may say something.
Please.
Thank you for saying what you just said, that you have to go with family. That should always be the priority about refereeing. And thank you also for the kind words. By the way, thank you guys, because you guys are putting in a lot of volunteer hours. I'm getting to do what I enjoy doing. This is my passion. And yes, they actually pay me. And just because I need the money, I take it. Otherwise, I would say, you know what? Don't worry. We do this anyways.
All right, take care, Matt.
Thank you to all. Keep up the good work, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.
So up next, I'm just going to read a question we have on our Responsible Sports Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Responsible Sports. One of our fans, Antonio, asked, with the increasing hostilities towards referees in youth and high school matches, what advice do you have beyond the ask, tell, dismiss procedure to prevent things from getting out of hand?
Especially lately with the social media and much more coverage, we get to see more of what happens out there in different parts of the world. So it is a very serious problem. So here's some things. There's so many things that can be done, but I think this is the most important one to me. The referee group has to really team up with the administrators, whether they be the referee assigners, instructors, and assessors, but also beyond that, the administrators of the tournament, the league, the organization, such that, first of all, that we have mentors and people on the fields who will address those issues right away. Just like the question that was asked earlier. When a little something happens, stamp it out while it's just a little spark before it becomes a big fire. And then for those individuals who still decide to misbehave and go into the real ugly stuff, let's make sure that we have very appropriate, severe punishments that meets the action, that meets the cowardly action that is taken against referees or anybody else for that matter. Specifically in AYSO, we don't have a very, very significantly bad problem, but the bottom line is a soccer match is an overwhelming condition.
So, Mike, I believe you're up next on asking Tom a question.
Okay. Yeah, Tom, I go back to, again, looking for your experience a little bit in judgment. And this has to do with physical contact with the keeper. I understand until the keeper possesses the ball, they're just like any other player out there. But to what extent would you draw the line in, a charge against a keeper, keep them off possessing the ball? Where do you draw the line in trying to protect the keeper, who's probably one of the most vulnerable people out there?
Yes. Drawing the line varies. And it goes back to the three parameters I mentioned earlier. The technical skill, the physical skill, and the emotional skill being displayed in a given game at a given point in time when you're refereeing. So, for example, let's say you have a one-on-one, an attacker versus a keeper with the 50-50 ball that was sent long. And there they go. Attacker's going towards the keeper's coming out to get the ball. And it's kind of like that math problem in my 5th grade. 2 trains leave 2 different cities at 80 miles an hour. They're about to collide. As the referee, you must sense that if there's not a high level of skill with both the keeper and the player, and they've already experienced some frustration, don't wait till they make contact to blow the whistle. For example, we have the concept of dangerous play. Just a player approaching the keeper in such a way that they take their eyes off the ball. They put their eyes on the keeper. They position themselves in such a way so they can make contact with the keeper to push him out of the way. Those are signals that it's okay for me to blow the whistle if the ball is anywhere near the vicinity of the keeper. When in doubt, err on the side of safety for the keeper. However, having said that, there are some keepers that are on the opposite side of this coin, where they use the concept that they know we protect them to come up and do stuff that is not really good. For example, it is typically normal to bring your right or your left knee straight up into your chest as you're going up for a ball, but you're jumping up. But sometimes they will jump at the player with the knee extended. That's a different thing. So as the referee, sense the intensity of the players, sense the possible frustration, sense the feel of fear, those kind of things. And if there's any doubt, blow the whistle. What's the worst thing that can happen when you blow the whistle and you stop play? What's the worst thing? Tell me.
So you get some players pointing fingers and it's a restart.
Yep. They'll say, let us play. Right? They'll say, let us play. However, we do get in a little bit of trouble sometimes, especially when we're less experienced or when we don't check in and get ready to referee, and we allow some of that contact to go on, and then it gets ugly and somebody ends up throwing a punch, dragging somebody to the ground. You pull a red card. You give me a phone call. Tom, I had a great game, 2 red cards. I got everything under control. The challenge is perhaps you had a chance to help the players avoid that red card, and it would have been much better. So when in doubt, blow the whistle, chat with them, make sure they look you in the eye, and make sure they understand they're about to cross the line, and you want to make sure they stay safe. 50-50 balls, a repetitive motion of contact, hey, at least give them a verbal warning. They need to know you're watching the same game they're playing.
Guys. I know we have time for a couple more questions. Stefan, go ahead. Do you have any questions for Tom?
Yeah, I would just like to say that I love reading your whistle stop articles every week or so. Also, I would just like to know if you knew anything about the FTP. I mean, I'm in that program, so I don't know if you support it or how you feel about it. So.
Thank you for reading Whistle Stop. If you have any ideas how we can make it better, please send me an email. Tell me, what's this FTP?
The field training program. It's the mentors.
Beautiful. Different regions have different concepts for mentoring and additional training. Any additional training is always good. And if it involves mentors, even better. If you can, let's do this before I forget. Later, send me an email and describe the program. Tell me who's doing it, what region, and all that, so that hopefully we can share a best practice with the other regions via Whistle Stop. Send me a couple of pictures. But yes, specifically, let me ask, do they do training on the, let's say, the mechanics of refereeing on the field? You know, where to move and how to move and what to look for?
That's what my mentor did before I even entered the field training program. But the field training program is basically you get an observation by a higher ranked referee, and then he gives you comments after the game, and then you do that 2 more times during the one season, and that's how you improve.
Beautiful. All referees not just when it's required, should have some sort of an evaluation through a mentor, assessor, all the same, because that's the only way you know what you're doing good and you need to keep doing and what you need to work on and what are your options. After a while, you can figure them out pretty much on your own, but it's always good to hear from others who have experienced what other options do they have. This whole concept of having an imaginary bag of tricks and options is wonderful for a referee. And the more options you put into that bag, the better, not just for yourself, but then you can share with others. So you're doing the right thing. Continue to do that. And anytime you run into a referee who's a little bit unhappy, a little bit frustrated, recommend that they do the same thing. Very, very useful. And send me a description so maybe we can share with others, please.
All right, dude. Your email is.
We'll get it to you.
Okay.
Between Matt and I, we'll get it to you.
Everyone, we'll get you his email afterward.
Okay, thank you.
Terry, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. And Tom, I would love to see more of the best practice sharing, I guess, somehow either on Whistle Stop or something like that to just so that each region doesn't have to reinvent the wheel. I think that would be great to see something like that. My question is around youth referees, again, just getting back there. And I'm just wondering, from your perspective, what do you see as the biggest enabler, maybe the biggest obstacle in getting more youth involved in refereeing, and how can we take advantage of some of your insights?
That's a very good question, but let me just a quick reminder on the best practices. On the website, under referees, there's one section called tips, and I started using the 10 ways to do that, 10 ways to do this, deal with dissent and all that. That has a lot of good information on best practices, and we continue to put stuff via Whistle Stop. If any of you or anyone you know has something good, let's put it on Whistle Stop. Okay, you referees. Let me start by saying, and this is my personal belief, it is very unnatural to want to be a referee. I mean, there might be a 1.5% who are very unique, raise their hand and says, yeah, I want to be a referee, go ahead.
Step on.
Most of us, when you first start out, the first image when somebody asks is somebody yelling and screaming at you. And then you bring that to a youth person, and it makes it a little more challenging. Think about this. Younger people are not used to discipline adults, or for that matter, anybody else. So that in itself is a big challenge. Second, when you give a young person authority and responsibility and so-called power by the laws of the game, you can make a person very armed and dangerous. So let's narrow it down to 3 things. Number 1, if you're going to get youth people involved, make sure there's always adults on site to protect them, to mentor them, to make sure that the experience is a good one. Number 1, and perhaps the most important one. Second, make sure that those young people are constantly being trained and learning about refereeing. One tool that we have an online referee module that has all the basic stuff. And younger people love technology. They're well connected. They would have this session perfect. They wouldn't be like me, all these disconnect and connecting things. They're just great. Make sure that they're always training and learning, and that every time they have a question, make sure you have someone to answer those questions. And third but not least, younger people, just like adults, they like to socialize. So make sure you have a pizza night, a referee night, anything where you give them recognition, where you thank them for what they're doing, and where you'll have a couple of speakers talk to them so that as they're enjoying the evening or the afternoon, having some pizza and all that, they'll be doing some more learning. So those 3 things go a long way in keeping them around, making sure they're happy, they're learning, and becoming better referees. Oh, and by the way, let them continue to play soccer, because that's very advantageous for them. Plus, it's fun.
Yep. And my son is one of those people that raised his hands that wants to be a referee. He started at 11 years old, and he loves it.
Oh, yeah. I asked him, why do you want to be a referee? And if I ask 20 kids, 18 will say, I want to give a red card to.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for tonight. We here at Liberty Mutual Responsible Sports wanted to thank everyone watching at home live on YouTube. We wanted to thank all of you guys for participating, and we also wanted to give a special thanks to Tom for taking the time out to have this discussion with us. We also wanted to thank our partner, American Youth Soccer Organization. To learn more about AYSO, just visit www.ayso.org. And also be sure to visit responsiblesports.com to view great videos, listen to some podcasts, and as well as great advice by some of the sports industry's leading experts. Until next time, have a good night. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom.
That was great.